Hey everybody, Nick here. Welcome back to the channel. So the last video I did, I was talking about how billionaires don't care about people. Now, basically. Now in this video, I'm gonna talk about what would happen if all of a sudden there was no more money, like fiat currency, no credits, none of that stuff. It just didn't exist anymore. What would happen? Well, essentially, I mean, it's not very difficult to see. A lot of people would be in some serious trouble. Most people, I would say. Now, I know that they are pushing the digital currency. I know that that's going to be a reality, unless people push back. Which is essentially like not having money, because they can basically control how you spend it, on what you spend it on. They'll know what you're spending it on. There'll be no privacy to your spending habits. I mean, there's practically no privacy already, because most people use card. Everything is traceable. Cash is really still one of the only ways, excuse me, where people aren't able to be tracked on what they're purchasing, because you can just, unless you see them on the camera or whatever at the store. But overall, it's still the most private way to make purchases. There's probably a few other ways, but I would still say cash is one of the most. Also, if you own like precious metals, that might be a way to make purchases, but most people don't really, in society, don't do transactions with silver, gold, and etc. But what would happen, and who would gain from that? So let's just say, for shits and giggles, no more cash, no nothing, no way of paying. Everything is just, is not worth anything. There would be chaos, obviously. But who would control this place? Who would be on top? It's very easy to, it's those who own everything. It's not always about the money. It's about owning the resources. Owning the resources that every human being needs. The essential, building blocks of society. Like water, for example. Electricity, food, what else? Just the basics. Like, you wouldn't be able to do anything if you can't eat. You're screwed, obviously. So people who own properties, people own the farms. Like, look at Bill Gates. He owns so many farms now in the US. I think he's the single biggest owner of farmland in the United States. Now, that's a little suspect in my opinion. What does he need all that for? He's a computer nerd mogul, whatever you want to call it. Software peddler. But they are putting themselves into position, if they haven't already, to control everyone through the resources. So even if there's no, digital currency, no fiat currency, as I mentioned, they can control you, and you'll have to do pretty much anything they say because you'll need water, you'll need food, all these things that you need. That's why they don't want people to be self-sufficient. Like, I know in some states in the US, they were banning people to cultivate their own gardens and whatnot, which is bizarre. I think New York State is one of them. I could be mistaken, but I know that's probably one of them. They don't want people to be self-sufficient. That's why off-gridding is so difficult. Not to mention it's difficult to get the things all organized, but they put laws in place which makes it very difficult for you to do that, because they don't want people to do that. They want to be able to control every single person. And I mean, they control the politicians, so they get to sway policy, laws, all kinds of things through the political apparatus. Now, I don't know what would happen. There would probably be tons of panic and chaos, obviously, if that were to happen. But that's why they're gradually going into the digital currency, because they can still control you, but it's not a big shock. You know what I mean? It's not going to be as big a shock as if like currency just went away. But I mean, in some countries, the currency is becoming worthless. So it's slowly going that direction where the money that you used to make isn't able to buy what you used to be able to buy. You know what I mean? Also, the prices of things goes up, resources, food. You know, like produce, which is very important. Fresh water, fresh, clean water. It's not about. I mean, in countries where they don't even have fresh water, it's even more difficult. I can't imagine. But that's why, you know, people are warning about oligarchy and kleptocracy and technocracies, because the few who control everything, you know, the resources and everything that humanity needs and that we're accustomed to now, it's slowly getting smaller. That's why I can't stand monopolies. You know, big companies coming and buying up others like BlackRock, and when it's all concentrated wealth, it's not going to be good for humanity at all. And people aren't realizing it. They think that these people aren't capable of doing that, when they are capable of doing that. I think a lot of humans don't realize or underestimate the amount of, maybe underguesstimate, I don't know what you want to, whatever, how many psychopathic people are out there, how many people are just don't give a shit about other people. They're not thinking, oh, what's the best way I can better humanity, you know, improve humanity. I even touched on this about, you know, I think someone actually commented saying that these billionaires, in their minds, maybe improving humanity is by like sending them off to some random planet or whatever to colonize. That, you know, their idea of bettering humanity may be like, you know, twisted and morbid and just all out insane. But it's so true. I mean, the consolidation of all the resources by big companies, specifically BlackRock, which buys up a lot of property. If you own, I mean, imagine if like only 3 or 4 corporations owned everything. It'd be insane. And they probably are one. It's just the illusion of various different ones. Like, it's all about the illusion and controlling perception of people. If the people think that they have the freedom of choice, which really doesn't exist that much at all, if at all, people will stay content and they won't question it. They won't, you know, cause a ruckus, and that keeps people at bay. And slowly but surely, the world keeps going in that direction. A lot of people just don't want to see that because they can't imagine it ever happening, you know, in this reality. But it's the truth. And, you know, as soon as more and more of these corporations get choking and taking control of smaller ones, hence a big monopoly, it's going to be very hard not to see it in the future. I truly believe that people will see it, but it might be too late by then. So, so imagine a world without money. What would you do? What would you do in that case? How would you be able to maneuver your life? You know, it would be impossible. There would just be, and knowing human beings, they would just pillage, not that kind of, sorry, YouTube, but attack others and, you know, take what is not theirs. Absolutely, it would be a dystopian future. Like, there's so many movies you can watch. Escape from LA was one of the ones I remembered that was kind of like that. Just overall insanity. But it would take longer. Some countries would be worse than others, because I think, like, here in Canada, Canadians are somewhat more, how would I say, kinder, I guess. I don't know, but human beings are at the very core are the same. So I really don't think it matters what nationality, but depending on the situation, location. Canada's very vast. There's places you can go and maybe restart again, but smaller countries, forget it. So, I mean, all these billionaires and whatnot, they also own like the gold and all the precious metals. So that's something I've noticed that they've been honing in on in the market, is buying a lot of precious metals more than ever before. I think the last 5 years, 6 years, there's been a spike in how much precious metals have been being purchased by these like oligarch, billionaire, also millionaires, because they see that quite possibly there could be a big change in the paradigm when it comes to how the system runs. So we'll just have to wait and see. My recommendation is, if you can, buy some precious metals. You kind of want to follow in the footprints of these people who have. I mean, money is hard to buy, hard to come by. I know that's a reality. But if you can, you should buy things that are, physical and of value. But then again, they could just change the value of those things. Who decides the value of gold and silver? It's all like manipulated and controlled. Like, if you think about it, let's say that you first discover gold. Okay, it looks pretty. Who decided that it's worth such a price? It's crazy, right? But it's so ingrained in our minds, in human history, that's always been sought after. So it's what we've known, and once you put a value to something, it stays. It's very hard to take it away, especially if it's metals and things of the earth, like uranium and those things, because they have a very specific purpose. Coal was a fuel. So things like that are always going to be worth something. Gold and silver, I don't know what practical things you can use it towards. I really don't know. I know, what is it? Platinum, I think you can use it for something, but silver and gold, I'm not really sure. It doesn't really have any applicable uses, except for the fact that people see it in their mind as like, wow, it's gold and silver, because over the thousands of years of it being sought after by kings and emperors and things like that. But if it's still worth something, I mean, if these like oligarchs and wealthy people are buying it up, then there's obviously that it's not going to lose its value anytime soon. But I would still say resources like water, foods like crops and things like that are going to be the thing that they really focus on controlling. I mean, it's already happening. So, but anyways, enough of me rambling on. Let me know what you guys think. What would happen if currency, fiat currency, and the general forms of purchasing power went away? What do you think would happen? What would you do in that case? And and one thing I forgot to mention: property, like homes. I don't know if that would be something that they could use to trade with, barter with. I have no idea, but it's an interesting concept. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching, as always, and we'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye for now.